London Property, home of Super Prime, where you can find informative, educational and entertaining content covering all aspects of property.
Hello and welcome to London Property, home of Super Prime. I am your host Farnaz Fazaipour, and today we're in conversation with Michael-Handford Arnold, who has worked at the top end of the market for a number of decades, and you're going to give us an update from your perspective. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, Michael, what do you think is going on in the top end of the property market at the moment?
Well, basically, it's all over the show. I mean, there's all these predictions of price drops and grey doom. However, in the real marketplace, we've got a couple of clients. She's actually European, she's Liechtensteinian, and the husband's American. She wants something in Europe. They have a huge apartment in New York, lovely, straightforward couple, but they want a pied-à-terre in London. So we've been showing, we're going around Mayfair, and last week we're going around Belgravia. Now, we saw a first and second floor in Eaton Place, and if people are predicting that there might be a problem with the market, well, that flat had the third viewing on it from another American who also wanted somewhere as a pied-à-terre because of the dollar. So one thing counteracts the other. At the end of the day, at this level of the market, it doesn't matter what's going on out in the world there. If they want something, they will buy it. It might slow slightly, but this level of person, if they want something, they'll just go and buy it. It's always been the case.
So where do you think that people might start to see opportunities in the market at the moment?
Opportunities? Well, I mean, there are opportunities may start coming along as a predicted price drop of, I think they said 4% in London, but I don't see that necessarily happening in the very prime areas. There's another flat in Mayfair that we saw that came on at an enormous amount of money because it was done by a famous developer. And they thought they were going to get asking price. But as it turned out, they got a much lower offer from somebody straight away, privately to the developer. And now it's been fully launched on the market. They had a lot of viewings. So, I mean, I don't know about an opportunity, but certainly some things are going and some things aren't. And it remains to be seen. A bit more water needs to go under the bridge before we'll know where we are.
And what are your thoughts about what effect the sales market is having on the rentals market?
Well, the rentals market is completely stuck. It's not good to be a landlord anymore. That's the trouble. You've got all the EICR certificates, large house in Earls Court Square that we're looking after at the moment. The quote just to do the EICR, because it's such a high-tech house, was £9,000. There's all these quirks that go on with these houses, flats, and also you're getting family offices turning around to people and saying, that flat, it's worth £4.5 million. You're getting 1.5–2% yield. You've got all these certificates, always that, you've got the refurbishment of it, no tax breaks anymore. Get your money out and put it in something else. The amount of rental inquiries that we're getting at the moment from other agents saying, oh, well, I've seen your flat on Palace Gate and my tenant's actually been told they've got to move because the landlord is selling. That is happening so much at the moment, and there's nothing to replace it. So they don't quite know where the rental market's going to go to.
And what's happened actually in recent months with rental prices? They've
skyrocketed. But I mean, as a landlord, I would always suggest that people are quite careful because the tenant comes flying in through the door, promising to pay these big amounts, and then they calm down, they get the property, and then they get a bit cross. And they're, I've paid them all this money for this house and all this flat, and then you've got a bit of a scratchy tenant then. And then as soon as they see an opportunity, they'll try and get you to replace this, repaint that, do whatever to it. And as soon as the market corrects, because it probably might correct at some stage, those are the first ones to do these huge rent reductions. So just be careful with your tenant. Don't take the one screaming and shouting that they'll pay XXX. Take the good, straightforward one that will pay a decent amount, and then they'll stay.
Right, so the ones who push themselves to the limit are the ones that could potentially end up being quite difficult tenants.
Yes, exactly. Once they get in the property, they start to, turn around and think, I've paid all this money for this flat, right, and start poking around saying, my washing machine's clanking. And you're like, well, it's only 2 years old. Well, I don't care, it's clanking. I'm paying XXX a week. And you've got a bit of a scratchy tenant then.
And are you seeing, or is it too early to see this, are you seeing any sales properties shifting over to the rental market? And is that going to, because we've had some really high rent increases, haven't we?
We have indeed. I mean, they're sort of 10 and 12% and even more than that. Some people are offering more than that just to get the property, which, I mean, I certainly haven't seen this level of activity in my career, which is 20 years. But it remains to be seen. I think people are still keeping it on the sales market, maybe taking it off for a while, but I haven't seen that many flipped over into rentals yet. But that may be things to come.
From the experiences that you have, do you think that the increasing interest rates is frightening people away, or? That
is the frightening people away. We have a property which young buyer, he works in tech, he's got a very good salary. He was buying a property in the locality in Kensington. An old family owned the block and they owned several properties in the street, and they were just getting rid. The seller's 86, and they're just clearing out their portfolio. And he's just been chipped on his mortgage, and they've just offered him quite a lot. So we're trying to renegotiate now, but it's proving very, 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 very difficult. And the sellers are just sort of saying, well, that's not my problem. But then again, no, it's not their problem, but it might be the problem with everybody else around this sort of pricing level. And so we might start to see, well, it remains what to be seen there. We're just trying to negotiate for that one.
So you're talking about lower price properties?
Lower price properties, yeah. I mean, you know, over £1 million lower price properties. I mean, I wouldn't go to Blackpool and start moaning about that because you'd probably get a punch. But everything is relative to the area. And that is a lower price property in Kensington and Chelsea now, especially just off Kensington High Street, just by, you know, the Palace and everything. That's extraordinary to be able to get a substantial 2-bedroom flat, or, you know, I think it's just 1.2 million. And that's pretty good going with a long lease now.
And what would be your advice now to somebody looking to buy?
Look at the market, see where you want to buy. It's always the prime areas that always come back. You know, they're always the preferred ones. You see when things are going good, it goes outside, you know, central London, then it goes a bit further out, right out to Canary Wharf from around there. But I always look at it like a pair of lungs. It's like inhaling and everything's going mad, and as soon as it's exhaling, the demand comes straight back into the old classic areas, Chelsea, Kensington, Holland Park, Knightsbridge, all around there.
So basically, when the market is volatile, you're safer to go for location, which is always the thing to do.
Absolutely.
Whereas when you start to get a little bit creative and go outside those zones, they're going to be the first ones that get hit.
Those are the first ones that usually get hit. I mean, a lot of the young want to go to Shoreditch and places like that these days. When there is a correction, I'd be interested to see what happens there if the prices actually stay, you know, quite high. Fulham is now very established, and that is a very good area to be.
And what advice would you have for a seller in this market?
Make sure your property is presented to the absolute best you can. If it's got quirky areas to it, always, always, always get it dressed, get it ready for the market, make it attractive, think about it, take advice. Any agent now knows how to stage a property, or what could you do to improve it for the sales market. Listen to them, and if you want to maximise your chances, do it.
Fantastic. And is there anything else that you want to share with us that we haven't covered in the market update discussion with you?
It's unprecedented times. I think we all have to watch, look and listen, and just basically, you know, see what happens and react as best we can with it. I mean, in the market we are involved in, luckily, we're in this area of super prime, whereby, as I said before, if somebody wants something, they'll just buy it. But it's wait and watch.
No desperate times then?
No desperate times at the moment, with three viewings on a £10.5 million, 2.5 bedroom flat in Belgravia. No, it's not Armageddon as yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much for talking to us, and we look forward to hearing more from you in our future updates.
Thank you, Farnaz.
And to hear more from experts like Michael, or indeed find experts that you need for the entire real estate experience, please head over to our experts directory, subscribe to our newsletter, or visit our podcast channel, where you can listen to over 75 experts for all aspects of real estate.
Thanks for listening to the London Property Podcast. head over to londonproperty.co.uk and subscribe to our newsletter to receive latest updates.